What's up, everybody? Sports Counterpoints podcast. We are back. I'm GB, Brian, and Coop on the video feeds. What's up, guys?
Going on?
Man, good to be back.
Man, back at it. We've been pretty consistent. I like it. Thanks to everybody who listens. Check us out on whatever podcast platform you usually use, YouTube, whatever it is. We're there. So we appreciate y'all checking us out. Today we're going to talk about it's June 14th, 2022. We're going to talk about the a little bit more golf as we talked about last week with Live Golf's first tournament happening, and also the RBC Championship from Canada for the PGA Tour playing last week. We'll talk playoff basketball, and then we'll also talk some playoff hockey. So yeah, should be a pretty fun show. I'm interested to hear what the guys thought about let's start with, the big dog. That's the PGA Tour, has been doing it the longest, and the RBC Championship, which if you're the PGA Tour and have this new league coming out, this is exactly what you wanted to have happen. Because if you're a golf watcher, that was a really fun tournament to watch. Some really good golf was played. It was very exciting. So I don't know if you watched any of it, Coop, checked any of it out, but Brian, kind of what'd you think? And Coop, we'll get your thoughts too if you checked any of it out.
Yeah, no, I tried to watch it. So the first thing that I would say is it's difficult to watch. So they're doing the
No, we're starting RBC Championship first. I started with the PGA.
Okay, so on the RBC side, I watched the entirety of the last round. It was one of the best last rounds of golf that I had watched in a long time. And they weren't joking when they said it was like a major. The crowd was really into it. You had the most amazing final group because of weather threatening to come in. They decided to go three deep instead of two deep, which puts Justin Thomas, who was the last guy in, Tony Finau, and Rory McIlroy, and though all three of them played lights out golf.
Yeah, they did.
There was Rory kind of talking at the end, talking about how amazing that the group played and the energy that they felt. But it was good golf. It was there were several holes where one person made an amazing shot. I can't remember the hole, but at one point Justin Thomas almost aces a par three, puts it right off the edge. Just an outstanding shot. And Rory goes long and off the back. And so it looked like Justin Thomas had an easy way to pick up a stroke by making a relatively short putt for birdie. What does Rory do? He chips it in from the rough, which it was fun to watch. It was interesting to watch. And since we're talking, so anyways, the round as a whole was outstanding. The golf was pretty outstanding. The most interesting part might have been after the tournament when Rory was being interviewed. And it relates to what we were talking about. There was some shots fired. He's kind of casually talking about winning this and how he really wanted to defend his championship and enjoyed the experience and loved the crowd, loved playing with Justin and Tony, who I didn't realize that Rory and Tony
Yep.
have they go back to youth. Rory lived with Tony's family for a period of time. But anyways, he says, well, this was my 21st win. That put me out of tie for 20th with some other guy. And that some other guy is Greg Norman, who's the front guy, the front man from the golf perspective for Live Golf. It was definitely a shot across the bow.
Yeah, they did. There's been a lot of that recently. Coop, did you watch any of the tournament?
I didn't watch
It's
none
cool.
of it, but
It's cool
I
if you
did.
didn't.
I didn't, but I did see I did see who won. I saw Rory McIlroy won, but I didn't watch any of it. I didn't get a chance
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, as a golfer, I mean, I think only people who play golf watch golf. So, or unless it's like Tiger or somebody playing who you're really into, but it was a really good tournament, like Brian said. I mean, shot for shot, just fantastic. Rory McIlroy wins it. He wins 1.566 mil. Tony Finau comes in second, wins 948,000, and Justin Thomas won 600,000. I mentioned that because I think the winner for the Live Golf Championship won like 5 mil.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was it
so-
was an $8 million tournament, the RBC. So yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
which-
they get like 2.5 mil for getting first place, and then they get some team money. So it also, in the Live Golf tournament, it also turned out that the first three players were all in the same
Yeah.
team, so they also locked that money down.
Yeah, paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I didn't get to see any of the live golf tournament. And what you're saying, Brian, is it was like a YouTube stream thing, which I have YouTube access galore, but I didn't even know where to look for it and didn't look for it. So did you get to watch any of it? And what'd you think?
I did. I watched about 60% of the last day, the Saturday round. And I just went into YouTube and did a search for live golf, and then it popped up, and it was cool. What I don't mind the shotgun start. There's no way you can do that in the PGA with the size of the groups that they have. But watching the golf itself was okay. Um, the way that they do it, and this makes sense, is that the better you are in the standings, the closer to the first hole you get for your start. So if you're the final group, you start on the first hole and get to play through 18. You're the next group, you play second, and then finish on the first hole, so on and so forth, because that's how they do the round. It makes it kind of neat to be able to see all the numbers adjusting at the same time. But that said, I looked at the YouTube count and how many people had watched it, not how many people were watching it, and it was only at 88,000. So 88,000 views, and I don't know if we're going to get into it now, but that leads me to think a couple of other things and that I wanted to talk about with all you, and some things I want to throw out there. But for right now, the point is that it was okay. The number 2, 2 and 4 and 5, and most of these you've never heard of them. And
I don't know the number one, bro. And it sounds
yeah,
like you
well,
do.
Charles Schwartzel and Brandon Grace have been on the PGA Tour. They've maybe won a couple tournaments here and there throughout their entire career. They're not A-listers, but they're good golfers. And but it's just you're not going to see much star power, right? Dustin Johnson got 8th. You may know Graham McDowell, you may know Louis Oosthuizen, but and they did add some folks, which we'll probably talk about in a minute, which is an interesting thing to do after they've already established the teams, to add players.
Why not? They said the boy, Schwartzel, what you said, he was -7 for the whole tourney, and he won 4 million in total. So he won, he had 2.5 mil more than Rory. Duplessis, who came in second, had 2.1, and Brandon Grace got 1.2 for coming in third. The
And that
fourth
was
dude,
mostly team money, right?
I would
Brandon
assume.
Grace's
I gotta
money?
look at how they break it. Probably, yeah, yeah, because his team won. So like you said, their team, the Strikers, they're stingers. But it's crazy.
You said you found live golf on TV or streamed it
YouTube.
online?
I streamed it on YouTube.
YouTube, okay.
I happen to have watched YouTube on TV, but you can do that from your.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. So it's gonna be interesting. I mean, I was actually playing a golf event for work yesterday, and it definitely came up. And anytime you're around golfers or people who, whether they're good or not, or play or not, like everybody knows about it. And we're all just saying it comes back down to the money. But it's interesting conversations because of, Saudi money and blood money, which, being one of the few black dudes at the table, I didn't want to say like all money's blood. I kind of said all money's blood money, but like getting money in America's, there's also a lot of blood behind that too. But so it's not just like the Saudis are the biggest
But they were
criminals
getting
ever.
money in Canada this weekend, so is it blood money out there?
Hey, Canada's hands aren't clean.
But yeah, so I don't know. Are we going to that part of this conversation now, or was there someplace else?
I mean, whatever. It's kind of just I just want to get you guys' thoughts on the tournament. So yeah, if you have some thoughts, let's throw them out.
Jason, did you have something you wanted to say before
No.
I jump in on that?
No, go ahead and jump in. I probably can dive in that too. Go ahead.
So look, the one thing that we all know about live golf is that they're playing with FU money. And
Are they?
When it comes to, they have no need or even a desire to make profit off of this, and that's evident from the whole way that they set it up. This was a bunch of people who wanted to accomplish a different goal. And it's becoming more clear to folks what that goal is. Now, most people should have been able to figure this out a lot sooner, but the goal is to rehab the image of the folks who are doing this. They're all 100 billionaires. Like, they're not on any Forbes list because they don't care. They don't play that game. They don't want to open up their finances to be on a Forbes list. They're all 100 billionaires. And so they're able to put $1 billion into a pool with other billionaires to do whatever the heck that they want. And that's exactly what they did. But their real goal here is to have their name seen in a positive light. So that's why they did it through basically was a private equity pool where they all kind of pooled their money together. And then they went and got Greg Norman to kind of be the face of the thing. They were really hoping that people wouldn't realize what was going on until later on. That part's evident when you look at the marketing that they do not have. So one thing that was talked a lot about on ESPN and Golf Network and all the different sites was they left those golfers high and dry for a bunch of really difficult questions. Glenn, you and I think last week were kind of enjoying the grilling that
Sure.
Phil Mickelson got, Dustin Johnson got, pretty much all of the big name guys that were there. Typically, when that type of stuff happens, the marketing group comes over and says, here are some questions you're likely to get asked that are going to be very uncomfortable. And here's how we would like you to answer them. Instead, you had golfers that were up there going, I don't know how to answer that question. Or I'm not going to answer that question. Just looking dumbfounded and stumbling over their words. That is exactly the opposite of what you would want. The whole idea, you would think that after Phil Mickelson's fiasco, that they would be feeding him a script. Not only was that, the marketing was so poor that Phil Mickelson didn't know that he shouldn't or couldn't wear a shirt that had the Augusta label on it. So he had to use a black marker to black it out because it was against their rules or thoughts or
that seems pretty obvious.
Exactly. But an even remotely a competent marketing person or group would have said, hey, Phil, you're out. We can't have that on
here's
television.
A team shirt.
Here's a Live Golf shirt. Here's a whatever team he's on. These names are kind of weird, but whatever team that he's on, here's your team shirt. Can you wear that instead? We are giving you $200 million, and so and that's kind of where it goes next. These folks, Phil Mickelson apparently got 200 mil. Dustin Johnson got 125 mil. Now, I'm not getting all this up front. I'm sure it's being paid out over a period of time. But 125 mil. And one thing that was interesting, a lot of these fellows got sign-on bonuses. But one thing that was really interesting is that once Dustin Johnson signed on, did it kind of at the last minute. He apparently went to Live Golf and said, I want my friend, Pat Perez, to be on my team. Now, teams are already established. The 48 people in the league are already established. And Pat Perez and Bryson DeChambeau got signed up. And now they're in the league. So it'll be interesting to see which two of these guys are get pushed off the bottom. Who and when you have people who are going plus 24, I'm sure that they'll write them a nice check and tell them to have a nice day. But it's just interesting that it's not well organized. But when you're working with FU money, you can write away those woes. Like you don't have to worry about a debacle when it comes to low viewership on your first week after paying almost $1 billion, or I should say, writing $1 billion worth of guaranteed money checks over the course of a period of time. You don't have to worry about the fact that you only got 88,000 viewers. You don't have to worry about the fact that the product on the course wasn't all that wonderful, with players playing into Saturday, their final day, with a plus 24. That's
Phil
Mickelson
was 34th. He was plus 6 for the tourney. Plus 10 for the tourney. Excuse me. He's plus 6 the first day.
Yeah, and so you have to you look at it with that kind of that lens, that understanding, and you realize that we're just observers in a larger marketing play, not one for Live Golf, for these individuals who are trying to rehab their image because of their involvement with a lot of atrocities related to the Saudi history. And they've been pretty clear about why they're doing this.
Really interesting.
Yeah, and so I'll go on and talk about the players, but first, like, what are the thoughts on just that part, the live golf product part. Jason, you got
Well,
anything?
well, I mean, they're not the first, I would say, entity, corporation, or company just throw money at a problem just to try to solve some. I mean, that's a that happens more than we talk about. It happens a lot. They throw money, like you said, they're not in it to make a dime.
No.
They just like I said, want to rehab them and just get these guys and have everybody just, you know, support these guys, and that's pretty much it. And like you said, I don't think you even have to watch. I mean, what's a rating going to do for them? It's not going to make them
Yeah.
any, that much money. So, and to be honest with you, I didn't watch it. I wanted to watch it, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. I
You
will
probably couldn't have
eventually.
found how to watch it though.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
that was
Yeah, I know. I didn't know.
Yeah, I definitely will, just to just to see the format and see how it's like. I don't play golf as nearly as much as you guys, but I do like the sport, so I'm definitely going to check it out. But Glenn, did you look at any of it? Live golf? Did
No,
you find it?
no, I was watching the RBC. I'll be honest, and then
Okay.
I knew it was happening, but I didn't. I wasn't paying attention to it.
Okay.
So I was messaging Brian, messaging you about it, but no. Now I'm looking at the executive team, and their chief marketing officer, Carrie Taylor, was the executive VP of entertainment brands for Viacom, which she had MTV, Comedy Central, Paramount, BET,
Mm,
worldwide. So she's clearly got the history. I just don't know what happened. Their
yeah.
chief media officer, Will Stager, 25 years of experience. So
Mm,
But you know who does that stuff? It's not the person at the top who's basically
yeah,
trying to arrange coverage.
yeah.
It's the
the
team.
team, yeah.
It's somebody who's meeting Phil Mickelson at his car when he gets into the parking lot and saying, "Oh, hey Phil, how you doing?"
Yep,
Goes, "Oh, hey, we got to change that real quick. Do you mind?
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you a shirt."
yep.
Right.
It's not going to be the chief marketing officer or whatever her title or role is that's going to be handling the stuff in the trenches, or it's not. You have writers. I mean, chief marketing officers rarely are the people who write the
Oh yeah.
press releases. You have actual, and so someone should have been pulling aside the big names, right? The Dustins, the even the Brysons and the Pat Perez, because Pat Perez, they interviewed Pat Perez and right before the last hole on the thing, saying, "Hey, welcome to Live Golf," and he goes, "Yeah, thanks. I'm excited about this." And they said, "Oh, well, what brought you here?" And he's like, "Money." And
Real
and
talk.
and, and then the people were trying to clean it up. Well, the new and change. He's like, "Well, yeah, money." And then they said,
Keep it
"Well,
real.
how did you get involved when after the thing?" And he said, "Well, I'm almost here exclusively because Dustin Johnson made it so." He said, "I got a call basically saying, hey, here's a check, and Dustin wants you on his team." And so apparently Dustin basically added as a writer to his deal, like, "Hey, my boy Pat Perez is in."
Hey man,
And
I'm telling y'all right now. I expect the same.
Right.
I'm telling y'all right
um,
now. I need that
and
cheese.
uh, and that's how I don't know. I'm sure Bryson has a similar story, but I didn't see the interview with him. And Pat Perez is kind of um, he's an exciting figure in that he basically talks about how he does not care about being a professional golfer and does it
Mm,
because he happens to be okay at golf. Like he's
Yeah.
a but at the same time he also has, there's one thing that is consistent about the superstars who are in live golf. They have all had some dubious history when it relates to their morality or decisions that
Mm,
they have made.
mm,
Dustin Johnson, known to be a conservative, comes from South Carolina.
interesting.
Pat Perez,
Yeah, Sergio. A lot of these
mm,
guys
Sergio,
are not
who,
people's
yeah,
favorite.
Phil Mickelson, who, while people really like him, has had run-ins with the government. With
DeChambeau too, right?
and Bryson's just a jerk, and everyone
mm,
That's what
hates him.
people said.
And
Yeah, that's
Patrick
interesting.
Reed,
Yeah,
Patrick Reed is one of the most hated people on the tour.
mm,
Has gotten into it. There are people, there have been tons and tons of golfers,
interesting.
including Brooks Koepka, who have basically said, "Hey, he's just a jerk." Matter of fact, Brooks Koepka got into a little bit of trouble because he said it just as Bryson was walking by one time. He was being interviewed, and he's like, "Yeah, nobody's trying to play with that guy," and Bryson happened to be like right behind him. But anyways, if you look at the bigger names,
That's deep.
they have a history of making questionable decisions, having PR issues. And so, their moral constitution is probably a little bit more flexible than most.
Deep.
And that
Because
probably
if it
went
were-
into the research though to get them to
Yeah.
play.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Well, they made offers across the board. I mean, the
Yeah.
most surprising thing that I heard was that they offered Tiger Woods upwards a high nine-figure
Yeah.
number.
Mm.
Some speculated at close to $1 billion. Like,
Mhm.
and Tiger Woods has made what 125.
Yeah.
Tiger Woods has made 131 million from playing golf over his
Right.
entire career.
Yeah.
Right.
Dustin Johnson got 125 for signing up without
Right.
playing any golf.
Right.
But so Tiger Woods, and I would love to ask him why, because playing 8 tournaments obviously suits his health these days.
Man, riding a cart.
Yeah,
Yeah.
riding a
With
cart.
a chauffeur, like chill. Yeah.
Also, the ability to not need to perform at a very high level to make
Yeah.
money. He's already made hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's it right there.
The
yeah.
competition isn't Rory, Rory McIlroy, or some of these top golfers. I mean, I'm sure that there's something we didn't understand about the course. It didn't really look all that super hard. But I think Tiger Woods could compete with -7 through 3 days.
Yeah.
It's a 3-day tournament instead of a 4-day tournament. That's a hell of a lot easier on the body.
They should get Charlie.
Charlie's going to be a legit stud when he's allowed to play. I would say when he gets
decides,
older,
yeah.
but he's damn near there already. So anyways, there's that moral flexibility that kind of comes with it, and the PGA is here's what I think the PGA's mistake is. Why acknowledge the little guy? Like you don't see the NFL running out there and going, oh, the AFL, the XFL.
They squash it though. They just do it quietly. They squash those leagues.
But they never ever give them any. You're never going to hear about them on the the things that are going on at the other stadium right now. Like they never acknowledge it.
Yeah.
They make it incredibly difficult to give them, because here's the thing: 88,000. That's all that watched that thing. I guarantee you, a couple million people were watching Rory take his shots at Live Golf. They got more viewership. Live Golf got more viewership and more press out of Rory taking a shot at him than people who were actually willing to watch the event.
Yeah,
well, but you only get mad about something like that if you feel threatened by it. NFL doesn't feel threatened by anybody because they know it's they're the NFL.
I don't think the PGA does either.
And their viewership is killing the PGA. I think honestly, it's good for the PGA to mention them because it brings some kind of controversy to golf. And there's no no one who, if you can bring some kind of ruffle up some attention for golf, like come on, man, we know about golf because we're golfers. We talk about it, but let's be honest. Like if you go on the street, I can mention Live Golf PGA. People understand the rivalry. They don't know that Rory won the tournament, or
but they're also not going to watch it, so they don't make any money off it. Like nobody's going. Like no one's going to hear the controversy and go, "Well, I'm going to go check out Live Golf and or watch the PGA."
No one's going to watch it.
So they're not really getting. But and these guys are losing real. I mean, I guess it's not really real money. Bryson DeChambeau had a very large deal with Quicken for a Rocket Mortgage, and the minute he signed up, they pulled it because they're huge sponsors for PGA. In the overall scheme of things, I guarantee he made 10 times or 100 times that in playing for Live Golf. So I know he didn't care.
Wow.
Anyways,
real quick, and then we can go to NBA. They were asking Dustin Johnson if he signed up, because I was wondering, like, do they have multi-year contracts for this, right? So Dustin Johnson said he signed up for a few years, and he said officially 4 years. And he said he signed up to play Live Golf was to play less golf, not more.
And if you watched him when he said it, he was real jerky. I'm gonna use a different word. He's real jerkish when he said it. So they said, are you gonna miss playing on the PGA Tour and the excitement of being able to play all the golf? And the guy said, and then Dustin kind of says, I signed up because I don't want to play golf that much. And so the guy said, well, what are you going to do with the other 40 weeks a year? live my life however I want to. Like
Yeah.
And he's
it
got the
wasn't
money to do
just
it.
the words. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't just the
Sure.
words. It was the tone.
Yeah.
It was the tone. If for those of you who know Dustin Johnson's history, you could see him in a big mountain, like looking like Tony Montana as he said it.
Hilarious.
He's got a little bit of a history there.
Bro, where he's living. Wow, crazy. Yeah, we're gonna see what happens. I mean, I don't know that it grows the game of golf in any capacity because I don't know
Yeah.
that people care if you don't play golf already. But hey, it was interesting for me,
Right.
and cool. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So yeah. So now what to something that a bit more of us are into, NBA Finals. Andrew Wiggins going crazy. Probably the last two games to me have actually been finals games. They've actually been watchable and more entertaining. But what do you guys? How do you guys feel about the series as it sits, and what are you thinking now?
Well, I think it's all evident to everybody that they tried to push Devin Booker as a superstar last year. That didn't work out. This year they tried to push Tatum as a superstar, and that's not working out. What people need to realize is there's a difference between killing it in the regular season and killing in the playoffs. And I think Kenny Smith says it best, where you make your name in the regular season, you make your fame in the postseason. And it's a clear difference. There's one superstar in this entire NBA Finals, and that's Steph Curry. Usually superstars elevate their game, points per game or whatever across the board. Stats are about the same, maybe a little bit elevated in the postseason. That's when the superstars, really carry their teams or make their name or just, help will their team or carry their team to a victory. Um, One thing I said on the last podcast, when if Boston wins a game, they have to do it as a team. They can't really rely on one guy or not even two guys. They have to all kind of pitch in. Whereas the Warriors don't have to do that. They can just have a guy like Curry. Curry carried them in game four. Boston should have won that game. I personally think they blew it, but Curry did his part. I think he had like 40 or 40 something points in that game, but he was hitting
Yep,
all
43
kinds of 43. Yeah, he was in all kind of crazy shots and just keeping the Warriors in the game when pretty much the team really didn't play that well. He
on the
did.
road.
Yeah, it reminded me of LeBron. That's what LeBron used to do. He used to carry a team, score like 45 on the road, and carry his teammates on a big game like Curry did. And game five, Boston came out flat. They go like it's like 2 minutes to go in the quarter. They only had 10 points in the first quarter, and then they did storm back, but that fourth quarter kind of bit them. And you need your stars to play well, and Tatum just doesn't play well, hasn't played well in NBA Finals in the fourth quarter. And the Warriors did what they need to do. We had a Klay Thompson sighting a little bit. We definitely had an Andrew Wiggins sighting in this last game. So even Draymond, I think he even hit double digits this game. I think he probably had 10 points this game. But yeah, it's experience over the inexperience, and and that's pretty much what it is in this series because Boston looks. I didn't know they even had a stat for this before I let you go, but I didn't know they had a stat for it was I guess the clutchness of teams in the last couple of minutes of the game. I guess it's a clutch stat. And Boston was in the bottom three of the NBA in the regular season as far as clutch stats. And you can definitely tell they get discombobulated. They don't know what to do. And that was one of the things I feared about taking Boston is they don't have that leader or that point guard or that leadership to try to, get a bucket late in the game. Their offense is very, just go one-on-one, take a jump shot, and then that's it. Everybody seems kind of confused. But like I said, the Warriors experience is winning out in this one, and they deserve to be up 3-2. What you think, Brian?
So I'm going to talk to you a couple real quickly before I get into the deeper part of it. On the clutch stats, they actually keep it for individual players.
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the playoffs, the Al Horford, Jalen Brown, and Jason Tatum were actually all tied for first for clutch rating. But I think when you were talking about the games and who showed up and who didn't show up, that you talked about the reason why I see Golden State winning this. And that is because you talked about three players as opposed to one or two players. We're all on the same page about Boston needing a team and group effort in order to be able to get there. But Tatum has not played poorly. Tatum, was 10 for 20 for 27 points, I think, in the last game. Yeah, he had a couple of bad takes, but it weren't bad shots. He just missed shots. And the reason he missed shots is because of one of the guys you mentioned, Andrew Wiggins. Andrew Wiggins is playing amazing defense. And it really, really is impressive to watch that this guy who was not exactly, given much of a future after being drafted way too soon, obviously, as the number 1 pick in Cleveland. He didn't make that choice, but he got drafted, and of course, you're going to take that honor. But he got drafted way too soon, and people wrote off his career. I'm probably one of them. He looks legitimately like a great number 2/3 guy, and he's playing that role to perfection by playing lockdown defense on Tatum, who is Boston's best guy, making every one of those looks difficult, beating up on him so that at the end of the games he is struggling. And I don't see a huge surprise in Jason Tatum being in the finals and having difficulty with great defense being played on him. I don't think that means he's not ever going to become a superstar. I don't think that the NBA was trying to make him out to be a superstar. I think they're trying to make him an emerging star, and I do think he is an emerging star. I don't know that he's ever going to become a superstar. Just like you, I don't know if that's in his in his future. But
he said it. He said it personally. But yeah, go ahead.
Of course, he said it perfectly.
Yeah, so would I.
Name an NBA. I could say name an NBA player who go talk to Luca, who thinks he's the next best thing since sliced bread. He ain't ever seen a title. Trey, Ja Morant, all these. Ja Morant sits there and talks about himself like he he poops gold, and yet he's on the sideline and and can't even get his dad to not talk shit about him. But anyways, I don't. This is how I saw this series going. I didn't expect the loss at home to open it up. Obviously, that was unexpected. But this is other than that. This is about how I thought the series was going to go. The abundance of talent that Golden State has is going to overwhelm the team-like spirit and effort that Boston has. I do think they still win it. I don't. There's a possibility they could go into Boston and win it, but before, the reason why I picked it in 5 is I didn't think they could win it in 6, and I didn't think it was go 7. But however it works out, I still think Golden State's going to win it. Steph Curry, even in his worst game, has found ways to be awesome. One of the most impressive parts of this last game was that Curry realized he was going to lose those streaks, and he made 1 or 2 attempts to try and make a 3, and then he stopped. He turned it off, and he made some amazing passes as he was attracting so much attention because Boston got so caught up in the idea of stopping Steph Curry from shooting threes that Steph Curry got 3 quick assists on guys going to the basket because everything was jumping out at him. And he accepted that role, and he changed from shooting 3-pointers to shooting the little floaters right around the free throw line, and still managed to contribute when he was shooting awfully, contribute to a win. And your boy Draymond, the phrase that you coined, he got a triple single. He got 8, 6, and 8.
Oh yeah. Okay. I thought he hit 10. Okay.
Yeah, right. It was 8, 6, and 8. But even in his 8, 6, and 8, and I think those are important assists that he got.
Made some good passes.
Yeah, he made some horrible ones. I mean, there were 2 or 3 times where he literally was by himself underneath the basket, and he was so afraid of shooting that he passed out to threes that ultimately got missed. But he made some good passes. He provided some strong defense. The foul that he got fouled out on, I don't understand how that was a foul, but I knew that they were going to let it keep it on him because he's Draymond. There was no way that him, with all his whining, was going to get that foul overturned. But anyways, Klay Thompson's playing well. Steph Curry's playing well. Andrew Wiggins is playing at a new level for him. I'm not saying he's a superstar or even a star. He's playing at a new level for him. Going into 20 points regularly, getting a lot of rebounds, and playing outstanding lockdown defense on Boston's best player. That's a lot. Sorry, back to you, Jason. Yeah.
Well, yeah. So you said Tatum was playing well. See, I don't think before the last game, he was only shooting 33%. I think he's been playing terrible. 33% shooting is just not good. He's selling for a lot of jump shots, and his game is pretty much going to the basket and shooting jump shots. Now you got to give credit to Wiggins for that, but I don't think Wiggins is that great of a defensive player where he should be stopping Tatum like he's doing. I mean, and plus you're
talking about from 3 though. I mean, he's shooting 43% from the field,
No, no.
33% from three.
Going into this last game, he was shooting 30. Going into game 5, he was shooting 33.4% overall and 42% from three.
Okay. But on
But going into
the series, he's shooting 43%. He shot 50.
he shot 50. He finally had a decent game. Yeah, he missed about 4 or 5 free throws and had another 4 turnovers. But he's the all-time postseason leader in turnovers. I don't know. He needs to really probably work on his ball handling because he should not.
Not all time.
Yes, he is in the playoffs. Yes, he is. He has the most postseason turnovers ever. Yes, he has. Yeah. So the thing about that is he's handling the ball
enough.
and kind of not knowing what to do with
this
it.
Postseason.
This postseason.
Yeah, you said all time. He doesn't even have enough NBA games to have the most. Kobe's got more turnovers.
So in one postseason,
yes.
He has the most turnovers ever in one postseason. Not ever in the postseason history, just in one postseason. Yeah, he has the most turnovers. So he needs to probably work on his ball handling because he's too important to his team to have that many turnovers. And plus, the Celtics just don't have that great a margin of error to overcome that. But despite all that, I still expect Boston to win Game 6, and I expect a Game 7 in Golden State, and Golden State should pull that out at home unless they blunder it. But as far as the other Warriors, I think I sent you guys a stat the other day about just the Warriors. Like Clay was shooting 35.8% going into the last game. Draymond was shooting 23. Jordan Poole was shooting 42.9. So the Warriors really haven't played well. They had a decent game yesterday, but overall in this series, they haven't played well. And Boston has had chances, but they just couldn't capitalize. And then it's the Steph Curry effect. Nobody can stop Steph. You guys know I'm not into awards. I think they're all subjective, but Marcus Smart is not looking like the defensive player of the year to me. I mean, he's getting lit up by Curry. Granted, it's Curry, but you would think he'd probably slow him down a little bit to probably hold him under 30. And I think that's hard for him or anybody else in this series to do. But you got to give credit to Curry the way he's playing. It seems like he's taking it personal, and he's hitting. What about you, Glenn?
Trying to get that Finals MVP, as you mentioned.
Right.
I just want to say there was a couple of things I wanted to add real quick. You know who's number 2 on that list that Tatum just knocked off, right?
Who? Kobe?
LeBron James.
Oh, I can believe that.
So you can still be a superstar. And the whole idea behind having turnovers is you have to have the ball. Now, look, sure, he needs to do better. And obviously, in the beginning of that game where it was, 26-8, and Tatum was primarily responsible for a lot of the turnovers that gave him that record. But you can still do well going forward. I still think he's an emerging star. Obviously, it's I think this is his first trip to the finals. I can see a lot of good things in his future, but he's getting outplayed by the experienced veteran team, which is exactly what we talked about at the beginning of the finals. We said that there's just too much, or I said there was too much experience. You actually agreed with it. Still went with Boston, but you actually agreed. But there's just too much experience between Curry, Clay, Draymond, and they're getting the benefit, and guys like Gary Payton and Wiggins are getting the benefit of that experience and able to play up to that level. Whereas Horford's done an amazing job of being that guy, but this is also his first time, even though he's been in the league forever and he's got a lot of experience and he's a savvy veteran, but this is still his first time on this screen.
Well, he has a lot of experience losing in the playoffs. He's played over 140 playoff games.
No finals. Not a finals appearance. Like he literally had the record, I think, for the most most playoff appearances without a finals appearance until then. So it's still, even for their savviest and most veteran of veterans, this is still a new place for them. So and I think both teams are playing a pretty outstanding defense, and every single game has come down to whose defense wanes the most in the beginning of the fourth quarter, because that seems to be, we talked about it before. You can watch the first 5 minutes of the fourth quarter and kind of understand which way the game is going to
go. GB, any thoughts? GB, you watched the last 2 games, right?
Yeah, I mean, I got one. The MVP is the Warriors front office, because they continue to find players that fit their system, that they can plug and play. Like Brian just said, Wiggins, we thought was written off. Poole was around. No one had him. Gary Payton played on 20 teams. Gary Payton II, like all these guys who are coming in and who just played, great ball. And I think it helps when you have a guy like Curry and Clay, who are extremely unselfish superstars who are going to make you feel welcome. I mean, they could bring in KD, but they could also bring in Wiggins, and they could bring in, you name it, could play there. So I give them a
And
putting that team
Kerr.
together.
Well,
I
yeah.
mean,
Yeah,
someone had to change. Wiggins should be eternally grateful for Kerr changing his whole career, his whole trajectory, his whole life.
yeah, he might get a
Yeah.
ring.
But this
He
whole
won't go down
thing,
as one of the hugest busts at first
Yeah.
round.
Yeah.
I mean, he
right.
was on that list with the Odins and all that kind of stuff. He
Yeah.
was in that
Yeah, he has a good
conversation.
chance.
Yeah.
And now he looks like a future possible all-star,
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a basketball
type of
player.
guy.
Yeah, but this whole thing on the Warriors revolves around Curry. I always say in youth
Oh, yeah.
basketball, a
Yeah.
team takes on the personality of their coach. I can look at their coach and
Yep.
I can tell how the team is going to play. In the NBA, it's different. The team takes on the personality of their superstar. Curry is,
Definitely.
despite what people don't know or don't know about, Curry is very competitive. So everybody on that team competes because they follow his lead. Whereas on the Celtics, it's a little different. They don't really actually have a star, anybody to lead. And if it's Tatum, he's sort of passive at times and just not that guy yet. He might become that guy, but he's not that guy yet. That's why the Celtics are more discombobulated because they don't really have that guy to follow. Whereas the Warriors have that guy. It's always Curry. So the whole thing revolves around Curry. So he got to give him his props. The
Yeah.
Curry hate, I really don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't really understand the hate.
Unfounded.
He's great. Yeah, he's a great shooter, but he's also great in leadership, and that's what probably Kevin Durant misses because he doesn't have that leadership, not with another player, and not with coaching in Brooklyn. That was just a huge mistake, in my opinion. And I know if the Warriors win, which most likely that they are, I know he's going to be just seething, man, and it's his fault. I know it's not like I feel sorry for him, but it's just like, yo, you left a great organization, a superstar who welcomes you in to go play with a guy who thinks the world is flat. So whatever. But
And Curry even took that step back when KD was there and let him get the flowers.
yeah,
I mean, Curry was
Yeah.
still the leader, but he let KD get the flowers. But KD knew,
yeah,
and he wanted it to be real.
yeah.
And it was never going to be real while I was
Oh.
there. And he went to Brooklyn thinking he could make it real, and that just hasn't worked because some people have
Sorry.
it and some people don't.
Yeah.
Curry has it.
Curry has it
And there's-
right.
and
plus
there's also-
oh, go ahead, Glenn.
I was just saying there's more to it in winning because it's a full team game. So you need everybody to participate. You need front office. Like to win a championship, I think truly takes an organization, and the Warriors have done it. So I mean, it's
But
not a surprise.
you also need chemistry on the court. Being Laker fans,
Definitely,
we
yeah.
don't have chemistry on the court.
of
Warriors
it.
have chemistry, man. It's just like it just takes all of that. It's not just putting guys together. And I got to get a Warriors props, man, because I thought they were making a huge mistake by trying to rebuild during Curry's career with young guys and yet still trying to win a title. And I mean that's damn near impossible to do. And it looks like they're about to pull
Gotta
that
have
thing
the
off.
right
So,
superstar, right? And then
yeah.
Curry coming off the bench in part of the playoffs.
Right, come up bench, yeah.
Like you can't. I don't know what the hate would be. So
Yeah.
I got nothing but hey, the Warriors get nothing but props. Who got the props is the Warriors. Shout out to Black Moon.
One more thing, or more like two, but one more thing. One, you could see the leadership of Curry in that last game versus what was going on in Boston. So Curry wasn't shooting very well. Even at the beginning of the game, he was over for 3-point line. He was having difficulty, but he was finding ways to get people going. And the team was still playing well. They were communicating well. They were talking to each other. They were making plays. On the Boston side, I was listening to Linda Cohn on the radio broadcast just skewer Tatum and Brown because they were bickering and they'd throw a turnover and they would try and explain to the other guy why they were out of position. And Linda Cohn was very astute. She said, if I see Tatum and Brown whining over why someone else missed their bad pass, she's like, well, I'll stop there, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
They were falling apart, and because they don't have the Curry, right? They don't have it. And the only other thing so that's another thing that shows that veteran leadership in a guy like Curry. The other thing I'll say is if I loved the fact that at the end of the game, I don't know if you all saw this, what Steph Curry came out to wear said, Aisha Curry can cook. And so it was because there was that post that went up there in Boston that had in Boston where a restaurant put out a placard in front of their restaurant saying Aisha Curry can't cook, to kind of tease. And there was a meme going around saying, oh, Steph Curry sees this, he's really going to go off. Well, He went off, he won the
Yeah.
game, and then wore
Love
a
it.
T-shirt that
Yeah.
says
Supported
Aisha Curry can cook.
support his
So
wife. Love it.
he's competitive. He sees things. He
Yeah.
understands
Oh
what's
yeah,
going on.
Yeah, and
and he
plus
can get busy.
you just don't want to poke bears, man. You just don't if
Nah.
they're I mean, I not to go off subject, man, but I was listening to Allen Iverson when he was in Denver with Kenyon Martin, man. He said
Yeah,
Kobe, yeah, you saw that when Kobe
yeah,
said, man, Kobe was just chilling, man. He was just on cruise control, and Kenyon Martin was just talking trash, and then Kobe just like, you know what? F it. He just turned it up with like 39 and like 8 and 7. It was like, dude, why'd you
yeah.
talk?
They
You know what I
said
mean?
they used
Just
to do that with Jordan too. He's
yeah,
chilling.
right.
You say something, he'll cook you.
Right. It's like, you know what? Let me go ahead and just go off on you. So yeah. So they poke Curry, man, and this is what they got.
Yeah,
Oh,
nothing
and
but respect for that dude.
yeah, real
Yeah,
talk.
it's definitely turned the playoffs around. As far as I mean, still kind of staying on that playoff mode. Hockey playoffs, the actual Stanley Cup Finals start tomorrow. Game one tomorrow at 8 Eastern with the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Colorado Avalanche. So all I keep hearing is that Colorado's just too nice, and Tampa Bay, although they won the last two, they're gonna have a tall task in beating these boys. Have you guys got any thoughts on this upcoming series?
So this is one of those kind of really first of all, the NHL playoffs have been outstanding all the way through. I sometimes watch them, but usually because of the Kings. And I started watching the NHL playoffs this year because the Kings made a series of something where they were supposed to get blown out, and it was actually really great to watch. But now you have in their NHL finals of the team, the Lightning, looking for a three-peat, which is a big deal. I mean, for all of us NBA players, it doesn't have
Yeah,
people, it doesn't really happen that often. Versus a absolutely stacked Colorado Avalanche team, and so no matter which way this playoffs go, something really big is about to happen. You're either going to get a three-peat, or you're going to have a team that looks like it could have several outstanding seasons where they're almost unbeatable, because they've been almost unbeatable since in the playoffs. So it's been a lot of fun to watch. I readily admit that on a year-to-year basis, I evaluate whether or not I'm going to pay attention to the NHL playoffs on a season-by-season basis, and I absolutely have been paying attention this season and watching. I don't know half the players on some of these teams, but it's thoroughly entertaining. It's really great hockey. I think, even though I don't know a good play from a bad play a lot of the times, I can tell when teams are playing well. I can tell when the pressure's mounting for a goal, and when it just feels like it's imminent. And you've seen a lot of that in the NHL playoffs. I don't know if you have any thoughts generally before we start going to picks and stuff, Coop, but what do you think?
Yeah, I do. I think Tampa Bay's I mean, just from watching the playoffs sporadically here and there, I think Tampa Bay has a better defense, but I think Colorado has the better offense. You said Colorado is stacked, but Tampa Bay, they know how to play hockey and they know how to stop you from scoring. Um, Glenn, I'm actually going to go with Tampa Bay on this one. But they are slight underdogs. I looked at the
nice.
series
Yeah.
price. Colorado's minus 170, Tampa Bay's minus one plus 150. I don't think people are giving Tampa Bay the respect that they deserve. These guys, they know how to play, and like you said, they're two-time defending champions. But Colorado, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Colorado, they're damn good, and if it wouldn't surprise me if they won this damn thing in like 5 games. But I'm gonna take Tampa Bay in 6. They usually start series off slow the first couple games, and they sort of figure it out games 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm gonna go with Tampa Bay, but I'm definitely gonna watch this series. Definitely, I'm interested. To say Tampa Bay has a hockey team though, that just sounds kind of crazy. But
Yeah,
yeah,
Wild.
Anthony would be a good. Yeah, I'm on the opposite side of this. I think Tampa Bay is an outstanding team that's done. They've won 2 championships, of which I watched neither. But this Colorado team is playing at a level that people who know hockey and that I talk to tell me is something to behold.
yeah,
It's not that they're just playing really well right now; they're playing at a level that is really unreal. And they actually really they have 2, I think, goalkeepers who are quite good. Their save percentages are the highest in the playoffs, or amongst the highest in the playoffs. And I think it's really hard to win 3 championships.
Mm.
At some point in time, through a whole bunch of reasons over the course of seasons, you have attrition, you have star players who go from in their prime to out of their prime, because they were at the end of that window there. And I just think this Colorado team is showing that they are ready. So there's that, and it's I think it's time. So I don't know how many games it's going to go. I do think it's going to be a really good series. I don't think Tampa Bay is going to lay down after winning 2 championships and say, "Hey, Colorado, take your crown."
Mm.
So I do think it's going to be a really good series. I'll be interesting to see if it continues with the very high scoring, because both of these teams have managed to, for the most part, there's been a game here or there where there's been a lot of scoring, but these 2 teams have been amongst the lower scoring matchups in the playoffs, right? So the Lightning, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, and 3-2 after losing 3-2 to the Rangers. And then Edmonton has just been going through teams left and right. But 6-5, 4-2, 4-0, 8-6, and 3-2. They can put up some points when they need to.
Yeah.
Hey, Glenn, it is worth watching. Colorado is good though. That's a good damn team.
It's definitely time I tune in. I'm pretty big on watching the finals in any sport. Kind of whatever it is as you get to that last round, but definitely I gotta see what Colorado does. I've been to Colorado a few times. I ain't been to Tampa Bay. I'm a rock with Colorado, man. I just kind of like the upstart and stopping the three-peat. It's interesting to me.
What's funny, I was actually around a couple people. This is when Colorado was playing St. Louis before Game 1 of the NHL playoffs, and there was a St. Louis fan, a Colorado fan, and the St. Louis fan was like, "Oh man, you
Oh, we
And
lost
like
you.
that,
good." I'm
He was
scared of
good.
this series.
Hey.
I'm scared. A lot
Hey.
of respect with people right now. So yeah, they're good.
Yeah, we lost you you kind of lost you froze up for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Right when telling that you said that the Colorado fan and St. Louis fan.
Yeah, it was Colorado fan, St. Louis fan. They just happened to have their like a hat on or whatever. One had a hat on, one had like a little sweatshirt or whatever, a shirt on. And the St. Louis fan went up to the Colorado fan, was like, "Boy, you guys are good. I'm scared to play you guys. I hope it lasts 5 games." I mean, Colorado has like a lot of respect, and I think they did win in 5. But yeah, I think if nobody watches hockey, I would think at least watch a game of this series.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun to check out. So, yeah, cool. I appreciate you guys, man. Brian and Coop, as always, fun doing the show with you. That's our show for the evening. Like I said, it's June 14th, 2022. This is our last segment, the minute to win it. So if either of you got some, go for it.
Man, I have nothing. I'll leave it to you guys on this one.
Cool. Well, I'll just go back and talk a little bit about Live Golf one more minute. I do think that as spectators, everyone should make a decision on whether or not they feel comfortable. The Saudi Arabia history is not good. It's quite deplorable, to be honest. And a lot of these folks who are putting this money out there to build this new brand were a very large part of that. Now, what that could mean is that, look, they don't care whether I watch it or you watch it or anyone else watches it, but there is something that goes in your hand. I've always believed in corporate responsibility. I don't support organizations that I have issues with. I watched Live Golf this weekend because I wanted to see what the product was like. The product was subpar. I've liked watching Dustin Johnson compete. The rest of them I really don't care for. It is highly unlikely that I'll be a long-term spectator of Live Golf because you add a relatively weak product and a lot of jerk players to an organization that has done a lot of deplorable things and is trying to buy my perception, your perception. They want to do this so they can do other business deals. Add that to them going and deciding to play on Trump golf courses because of the Saudi deals that he made before he got out of being a president, and it's a pass for me. But each their own. But it's worth thinking about and making sure that you at least recognize you know, that whether you think it or think about it or not, you're making a stand by watching it or not watching it actively or
Mm.
inactively.
That's tough because we feel like that with the NFL too and all these other leagues because they've all been, but not as bad as Saudi. But regardless, I think for me, I'm gonna give a quick shout out to all these Raider players that are playing golf together. I like seeing chemistry being built. Hunter Renfro playing, with Devontae saying how he was in Green Bay and couldn't play golf, 8 months out the year. So that's why Hunter's got him, but he's getting there. Derek Carr playing a bunch of golf. Devontae was just playing golf in Vegas with Aaron Rodgers. It's cool. I think it's kind of cool to see all these guys getting into golf and kind of growing the game. So shout out there, and then shout out to every one of you who listens and checks us out and made it this far in the show. That means you really rock with us, as we've talked about golf and hockey and basketball. So we thank you. Thanks for listening. Hope the best for you and your families. Take care of yourself. Be safe, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode. Thanks for listening.